I'm just making myself a cup of tea, but I have to show you. I woke up this morning to the distinct smell of beef, which is, even for a meat lover, not a particularly pleasant smell, but it's because I've been making this beef broth. Just have a look at this. So, put my mug warmer on. Get into a comfortable yet incredibly unergonomical seating position. All right, now we're ready to talk. Well, I have not actually made all of the progress that I thought I would make in this very small area just yet, but I have made progress elsewhere in the house. We are caulking, or I don't know what you call it, doing like the no gap filler between all of the VJs, all the vertical joints in our sitting room at the moment, which is taking days, but it is so worthwhile. It looks so much better. And David has been busy putting shelving into half of the garage. We are a one-car family, so the other half of the garage is going to be workshop and shelving and storage, which is fantastic. I've ordered my sofa bed, so you'll see that arrives tomorrow. I'm really excited by that because it means our friends can come and stay. What I've been thinking about this week is I'm calling it the minimal viable ritual. So in a previous life, I was deeply embedded in entrepreneurship and I guess startup culture. And the minimum viable product was such a catchphrase where you would create the simplest, most basic version of your product or service and use that and test it out in the market before going and developing the sort of all bells and whistles version, which maybe nobody wants. So the minimum viable product, or the MVP, but not that kind of MVP, is, I think it's a great concept. Instead of having this sort of like all or nothing, it has to be absolutely perfect, or I'm not going to do it, or it has to be absolutely perfect, or it's not ready. I like this idea of just creating the minimum viable, and it's made me think, as I am trying to get into a bit of a routine in the new house and the new life of what's the minimum viable. I think when things are fluid and you have, your energy changes and the demands on your day can change, whether that's in running a business, whether that's in having a family, whether that's just because it's a certain kind of day or it's that time of the month or whatever it might be, our energy does ebb and flow. So instead of thinking that this one routine is supposed to fit every single day and every single week and every single month, it's just crazy, right? I am absolutely guilty of that craziness, or that crazy thought. But I think it's crazy that we would have that expectation. So what I have been doing in the last week is just going, it's a really good day if these things happen, it's a really good week if these things happen, and it's going to be a really great month if these things happen. And anything on top of that is fantastic, but it's not something that I need to stress myself about. So if your day has lots of variables, which most people's do, or you have different kinds of days, maybe you have little ones and they are in care some days of the week, but not all of them. I do think just having a few things that kind of your standards, like these are the things that I'm really going to try and make happen. Anything else is a bonus. So I guess I would encourage you to also think about what are the things that make for a great day, week, month, bonus points, if they are seasonal, of course. So I made a note of some of mine, so you can follow along if you like. And I think there are a few things that I know if I do these each day, it sets me up well, or my day is more likely to feel great. I do personally find it good to get dressed and groomed, even just basically every day. Even though I've worked for myself for most of my career, I've never been a stay in your pajamas all day kind of person, and I do think that that helps. I do this thing every afternoon where I call it my daily loops, and I just try and close as many loops as I possibly can. So I respond to text messages, I try and get through my DMs, I try and clear my inbox if I can, and I do find that just helpful in keeping on top of messages. I'm not always perfect at it, but I do find that having that daily, sort of as part of my shutdown on a work day especially, I just go through and I just kind of get through as many of my messages and close as many loops as I can. I find that really helpful. I also always like to plan out tomorrow. So I like to start my day having it already planned, as opposed to sitting down at my desk first thing and go, okay, what am I working on? What should I work on today? I'm not always very good at this, but I do like to have an early dinner. I think I sleep better. I think I eat better. I drink less wine. And I do find that just eating early is just like, it kind of helps with a lot of other things. I do like to take my dogs for a nice long walk every day. And I also find that if I am strict with myself at having my screens off at 9 every night, that is a good, healthy ritual to have. So if I can do most of those things, and I'm not really talking about weekends, I'm talking about sort of Sunday through to Thursday especially, I do just find that my days are easier, and I guess that's the point. On a weekly basis, I find that if I can meal prep most of my breakfasts and lunches, my day goes smoother. I like making dinner from scratch, but even having the ingredients makes a big difference. So I do like to get prepared with a bit of a meal plan for the week. And sometimes that meal plan is just like, on Saturday we'd like to have a pasta night, Saturday night pasta. And that can kind of be open until later in the week, and we'll work out what we specifically feel like for pasta night. But I do find that having a general plan makes the weeks go a bit smoother. I always like to start the week with 3 projects or goals in mind. It helps shape my week of, okay, these are the things I'm actually working towards. Otherwise, I do find that, I think because so much of my work is self-motivated, no one's telling me what I need to work on, I do find that by setting those sort of priorities for the week, it shapes the whole week. I just find that helpful. I like to exercise at least 3, if not 4 times a week. And I like to keep Mondays clear, especially Monday mornings, but preferably all of Mondays, clear of meetings. I find if I do those 4 things, then my whole week is just smoother and nicer. Great if I can do a whole bunch of other things, but if I can do those things, then that's a really good week. And then monthly, I like to do a content planning session, and I like to set my projects and goals for the month, just like I like to do on a weekly basis. I kind of have these overarching monthly goals, and then weekly I should be sort of doing things that help me accomplish those monthly goals. And that's, I mean, I don't know, is that a lot? I was about to say that's not a lot, but I feel like some people are going to watch that and go, okay, crazy person. That's a lot. That's very type A, but I am type A, so I can't help that. That would be my like minimum viable routine, or my minimum viable rituals. If I can do those things 80 to 90% of the time, then it's going to be a good day, week, and month. And I, as much as I love having 1,000 goals and 1,000 things that I like to try and accomplish on a day-to-day basis, sometimes that's just not going to happen. So I would love to hear what yours are. Please drop a comment below if you feel like sharing. And I hope this is a little bit helpful as an idea, as a concept of, instead of trying to have perfect days every day, just have a minimum viable day. And then you can add on top of that. And that's just the cream on top. So that's what I've been thinking about this week. Apart from all those deep philosophical thoughts, other stuff that's happening is mostly house stuff. I'm getting scary quotes back about fixing some lead light windows that are a little bit damaged. It's going to be, well, one quote's come through so far and it's $1,300 per window and there are 3 of them. So that won't be an urgent project. My sofa bed arrives tomorrow and I'm hoping that this coming weekend, which will be in the next video, I will paint the sitting room. That's my goal, to have it painted by the end of next weekend. And then I can pull out all of my books. Well, not all of them, they're actually not all going to fit, which another thing I'm going to do. I've decided that my cookbook collection does not fit anywhere at the moment. It's not that we have no space for it, it's that we have no furniture for it. So my thought is that I'm going to treat my cookbook collection kind of like my own personal library. And of the 4 boxes of cookbooks I have at the moment, I'm going to keep maybe either one shelf or maybe even less, like 10 books out at a time and cook from those. And then when I'm ready, I can take those back to my library and swap them out for something else. I think it's the only way until I work out if I would like more furniture, where I would put it. I think that's probably just a smart suggestion. So I'm going to do that with you so that you can see the first, let's say 10 cookbooks that I want to cook from more. Well, here I am sitting on my new couch, my new koala couch. Look at this. So cute, so cute. Do I look naked? I feel very naked, but it is very hot today. First box. Let's go box by box so I don't get totally overwhelmed. I think any book that has this many flags in it has to be top 10, right? Saturday Night Pasta. Lizzie Hewson, I love your work so much. I cannot wait for your next cookbook. Spanish one, I'm not cooking a lot of Spanish at the moment. Let's just leave that. Another Spanish one. Okay, they're in sections. I don't actually just have Spanish books. I mean, Mavita cookbooks. This is the second one. I might keep the OG out. The actual Mavita cookbook. I love this. I'm going to shortlist that one. Rosie McKeon, good Irish name. I have not cooked from this yet, but it looks so good. So, shortlist. This one's not actually a cookbook. That can go in a different section. Greta Anna. If you're Australian, you probably know Greta Anna. My first ever dinner party I had for my 16th birthday. I cooked my entire menu from this and it was so overly rich. But it was super fun. I don't need this out right now though. This one, I mean, just to look through the food photos, this being a food photo. Nigel Slater. I've not had a really good chance to look through this yet, although I obviously marked something. So, short list. This is such an excellent cookbook. I think I need to bring this out when I've got a bit more time and a bit more set up in my kitchen, but this is like absolutely one of my favorite cookbooks of all time. The little library gear combining 2 of my favorite things, books and food. I didn't show you everything, that's not actually very interesting. We'll be here forever. Oh my god. No, it's okay. Oh, I haven't seen this in ages. Brie Graham, absolutely love. Anything Rebecca Pepler writes. Too hot. If you want to learn how to cook, this is the cookbook. Followed by this one. Yes. Okay, we gotta change this. yes, this again, full of flags. Such a really good staple. I will be intending to get back to sourdough, so I will choose probably between these two. I love this cookbook. Oh no. I see where this is going. No, I'm gonna be tough. What's this one? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. No, don't need it for now. Another classic. So cute. I will read anything Sky McAlpine writes. I will read her grocery list. Okay, I need to repack some. Make some more room. Okay, last box. Oh, I missed this. There was this amazing Australian magazine called Eatable a few years ago. I think I've got all of them. I think they did 10 editions before they stopped. It was so good. It was my favorite magazine. And I asked them at some point, because I think there were a couple missing from my collection, and they sent me the other ones, which was very kind of them. French, Normandy, I do love. No, it's not cold enough. Now I'm gonna have to choose. Look at me flags. Yeah, that'll fit. This is what's going in. A tabla. Rebecca Pepler. So Rebecca Pepler is a cookbook author. She has a column with the New York Times where she writes mostly about aperitif cocktails, but this is one of her cookbooks which has a lot of aperitif cocktail recipes in it, but it also has just these really delicious. If you're not using piment d'Espelette and you don't like spice, you should get on it. It's kind of our new favorite thing. But it's just full of great French inspired classics. So she's American in Paris, and just everything I've cooked from here is fabulous. And I love her flavor combinations and I love her ideas. It's kind of like modern French cooking. Highly recommend. The Flavor Thesaurus for working out what should go with what could go with what. Lateral Cooking for great basics. I just think they are such clever concepts. This one, Rosie McKeon's book, is divided into menus, and I love thinking about. Come a bit closer. I love thinking about cooking in menus. So she will give you the menu, and then she will give you your prep list, and everything you can do to kind of get ahead of whatever party you are throwing. And it's just, I think it's such a fun way to think about food. And I'm gonna go and get some friends over so we can have some of these delicious menus. Sourdough is coming back this year, so that is such a great reference. Mediterranean. We all know we should eat Mediterranean diet, blah, blah, blah. This is full of just really delicious, fairly simple food. Everything from snacks to, I'm pretty sure there's desserts. Maybe no desserts. That's fine. I can live. I haven't cooked a lot from Bree's book, but I love her Substack and the newsletter she used to write before she was on Substack, and have followed her for years. And I do want to make more of her recipes, and she also does menus in that book, which is great. So Ostro has become such a, I think, a Bible for so many people in Australia, but I haven't. That's not true. I've actually cooked a lot from this as well. Now I'm flicking through it, but I will continue to make more because I love a recipe book divided into different seasons. Oh, yum. Oh my God, I think I have to make that this weekend. Yum. Anyway, this is full of fantastic weekday meals, special breakfasts, cakes. Just, things that are just such a joy to cook. I don't know how to pronounce Julia's full name. Julia Basutil Nishimuro. I've never had to pronounce her name before. She's often just called Julia Ostro, which is so lazy. I think we've spoken about this one enough. Okay, no, that's silly. It's not just because he's handsome. It is also divided into seasons, and it is just beautiful sort of country cooking. And I flick through it and go, yes, I would like to eat that. Yes, I would like to eat that. Some great basics. Oh, yum. A rippled berry parfait. Yum. So, it's not just because he's handsome, but it doesn't hurt. Nigel Slater. I am really curious I love Nigel Slater's various food columns, and I'd actually kind of just like to read this as a book, because he writes, it's kind of like a food diary full of full of recipes, and then also not recipes, you know, like melon with ham. It's not a recipe, it's just a delicious idea. I never know how to go about these books though, because they're written for the Northern Hemisphere, so the seasons are opposite, but I'm sure I can get my brain around that. You need to have a good recipe book for all of your basics, and this was a very generous gift. I think it's been updated again, actually. That was a very generous gift. And then Sky McAlpine, this is her Venetian specific book. She's got a number now, a new Christmas recipe book that she just released. But this is the one that I have, and it is so full of beautiful photography and just delicious ideas. I love a aperitif snack. I love a long lazy lunch, and this book covers all of those things. So hopefully this all fits in. Let's go see. Look at that. Room to spare. I have to go buy some more. It is too hot for a cup of tea. It's too early for a glass of wine. Bad turn of events, really. So, for this week's life curriculum, first thing I want to talk to you about is building on the bone broth. So I made that, I think it was set in the slow cooker for probably 36 hours. And it was just a bunch of bones that are often labeled like dog bones at the butcher. So maybe $10 worth of dog bones. And I roasted them at about 220 for 45 to 60 minutes. And then I put them in the slow cooker with water and then just left them on low for almost 2 days. And it is now beautiful and thick and gelatinous and full of yummy things. And the reason I do that is because I make a savory mince with it, or that's what I'm doing with it at the moment. Because I feel like in summer, I tend to start relying too much on like yogurt and fruit. And that's very delicious, but that is a snack, not a breakfast, for me anyway. And so I've been making a savory mince, which I will link down below with the recipe. And I put this bone broth in it, and it just makes it so, well, it adds protein, which we all know at the moment we're supposed to be getting more of, but also all of that collagen, and it just makes it really unctuous and really extra delicious. So this week I'm suggesting to make some savory mince for yourself for breakfast. It could also be for lunch or for dinner, to be perfectly honest. Add an egg if you want to. It's delicious by itself. I have it with a piece of sourdough. It's delicious. Highly recommend. So in terms of watch, I watched the new Agatha Christie series, 7 Dials. It just came out on Netflix. And I didn't know it when I started, but it's actually a 3-part series. It's a mini series, not a movie. And so I had thought it would be, you know, 100 minutes sort of long, like a film, but it wasn't. It was 3 hours long. But I do think it was really fun. I have not read 7 Dials. I hadn't even heard of it, to be perfectly honest, and I think of myself as a bit of an Agatha Christie buff. Not a buff, a lover. An Agatha Christie lover. Definitely not a buff. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was clever. I loved the twist. So it is set in 1920 and then it goes forward to 1925, which is, oh, you're off, Sky. Okay, bye. Yeah, sorry about the mess. There's nowhere for you to go. Yeah, there's boxes everywhere still. Now cookbooks everywhere still. Anyway, it is, oh, you're gonna come up now. Okay, come on. It, set in 1920, 1925, and I would say it is kind of this sort of slightly dowdy 1920s, very conservative British style. It is not really a movie for fabulous costumes. There are a few, but it is not a, you know, it's not full of incredible hairstyles and costumes, except Helena Bonham Carter has an amazing hairdo, of course. I think she always does, that's kind of her thing, right? But it is, I mean, it's quite light, but it's a fun Agatha Christie, and I'd say it is not quite as high gloss as the recent Kenneth Branagh adaptations, and I think that's a good thing. Personally, I think they were a little overdone. So Seven Dials on Netflix is just a nice easy watch, and because it is apparently we're going to have a heat wave imminently, I'd say put on the aircon. It's a good way to spend 3 hours. In terms of reading, I recently read Celia Bell's debut novel, The Disenchantment, and I loved it. Historical fiction based in 17th century Paris, and it's based around, the protagonist is a baroness whose husband dies. So that is not a spoiler, you learn that very early. I think it's even on the jacket. So he dies and there is intrigue around his death. And it's just a really interestingly written perspective, I think, of that time. I just found it really enjoyable. I tore through it like in a couple of days. I just found it very easy to read. So The Disenchantment by Celia Bell is my read recommendation for the week. We're just going to keep it nice and simple this week as I am still settling in. You still haven't got any sort of beautiful backgrounds, but I am on a green couch, which is very nice. Hopefully, we'll have more clothes on next week. We would like that. I'd like that for you and I'd like that for me. But it is stinking hot today and there's hardly any breeze. And I'm now looking at the absolute carnage of my cookbook collection. Oh, but there was more space, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just fill the space. That should get me to 3 boxes instead of 4, which can go into storage. I do also think it's nice to see behind the scenes of a house that is absolutely not put together and how long it takes to get things there. You know, maybe, hopefully I'll be finished painting by the next video. Maybe my living room will look somewhat like a living room, but it certainly won't be finished. So that, I think, is just the reality, and I think that's interesting. I wish I could see more content like that. So hopefully you feel the same. And that's it. That really is it this time. I will see you next week. Thanks for being here.